They got the injustice.
I gotta think that we're having too much fun. Somebody brought the monkey to the circus.
Can't make it up.
Fine now.
Yeah. He's quieted down.
It's kind of like when the teacher walks in the classroom.
Mhm. Super
Well-
duper lip shut.
9 o'clock, we call the meeting in order, stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chair.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any more discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Meeting minutes were sent out.
Here, I'll make a motion to approve the minute.
We have a motion. Get a second?
Second.
Any discussion on any of the minutes? If not, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. The warrants were sent out.
Question there, cleaning the law enforcement center, there's one for 115 to 21 for $400, and there's one for January for $800 on the next batch. Are we double paying 400?
I don't know.
I went back and looked, and it looks like it had been running the 15th to the 15th, and that 400, for whatever reason, we're just paying. It switched vouchers, it went from commissioners to auditors for whatever reason, but it looks like the 800 was December 15th to January 15th, and then we paid the 400 for January to February. I don't know why that. But I went and looked back through the last 4 months, and it had been 15th to 15th, and then that 400, it switched registers, and it was only for half. I don't know if it was maybe just to get it on a monthly basis rather. I can't answer that.
Was there a set amount with the contract?
It's an $800 a month. And that looks like we've been running that, but then for some reason there was 2 week, I
So it's
can't answer why, that's just, I wouldn't look back, that's what I seen.
paid every 2 weeks then.
No, it had been paid every month,
Right.
and then
I
now
did see that.
this changed, I don't know why. But no, I didn't see where it had been double paid, it's just, oh, there was a change in the last month. That's what I seen.
So. We should confirm that. More than likely it's correct. Obviously Chad, I don't think is here, so. I think we confirmed after we approve them.
But if you look at the dates, it had always, the one this month now for the full 800 said January, where previous to that, it always said like the 15th to the 15th. But then the half payment does state the 15th to the 1st.
I can put a
So
note
it-
to, for Carl to look into it.
Everything lined up, it's just, something changed.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's correct. The only thing would be for historical purposes that it's, unless you know the information you researched, it would look possibly like it's double.
Right, and you gotta go back and look and see, and the bigger one to me is why did it switch vouchers?
Did you check, did it come out of the sheriff's budget then too?
I don't know what the number was. There's a number associated with it.
Well, it should come out of the sheriff's budget.
Well, I agree. I mean, it didn't, that number didn't change. It just changed vouchers. The number was the same.
Right. But if they change from commissioners to auditors, that tells me that it's coming out of a budget somewhere. Now, which one?
No, the number for the line item for the budget was the same.
Oh,
That is where the fund is coming out of was the same. It just changed where it was reported or recorded or.
Yeah, it's the same number. I'll make a motion to approve the warrants with the understanding that that issue was clarified the next meeting.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the warrants with that stipulation. We get a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Carried. Emergency management?
I don't know if that adds to my time. Good morning. Just a quick, as we settled into our offices at the courthouse, I just wanted to make a couple modifications to what cabinetry that I got. I reached out to Cooper's. They don't offer, I'd like to put some doors on the one cabinet that holds my binders, and they don't offer that option. What I'm proposing to do is just get they come in a box, get a cabinet, take the doors out of the cabinet, put them on what I have and modify to fit what fits in the office. So I think the cabinet that I'm looking at is $288 or something like that. So that would be the simple piece, and then I'll make it work for what I have. Their other options were bigger, wider, blocked windows, not fitting where we have things fitting. So it looks to me like it's a pretty simple setup, and modification would be fairly painless. So that would be for that. On another note, the ClimaVision that I probably will reach out at some point. I don't know if I have to do it separately or this is fine, but we're probably looking at getting a smart TV for the corner of the office. ClimaVision has a new app that overlays the radars, the National Weather Service and the ClimaVision radar, that's going to be more useful, more user friendly. And we're just kind of getting into that, but it might be a benefit to have that a little bit better visibility on that. So it looks to me like we'd be able to just put a little, probably wouldn't be bigger than like a 70-inch plasma or anything like that on the wall. So Troy's like, so anyway, yeah, no, just something, reasonable, and I can put up in the corner and be able to monitor the weather a little better. So
assuming our relationship and what's going on with ClimaVision, that hasn't changed.
nope, we'll still have it. Actually, I'm working with Tina right now. They have renewed, because the service is here in Grant County. I think Grant County will always get that ability, is the way they make it sound to me. The other emergency responders in the area are gonna get another 3 months of service to utilize what they're bringing out now. There's a newer app. And I certainly can when I get it all figured out, I'll make sure I push it out so you guys can take a look at it too. It's a different, they've made it much more user friendly, the app. And like I said, instead of just being, I gotta go to this app for national weather and this app for ClimaVision, they've merged those two together so you can actually see both at one time. And so when I get a little bit better understanding of how that works, I'll send it out to all of our, county first responders, law enforcement, all that, highway. And then they should be able to, it's gonna be a different app than probably what they're used to using, but I think we saw with the last little snow squall that went through, it's pretty accurate what they can do with that. And on a bigger picture, there's a bill in the state Senate right now they're working on. They have a number, everything for it, that they're gonna try to get 7 or 8 more towers put up to fill all the gaps in Minnesota. So this little pilot project that we have in Grant County is gonna likely affect the entire rest of the state and make things much better for everybody. So that's what they're working on right now. But she did say that they got a bill in the Senate and it's got a number and everything, and it'll be likely coming up in this next session. So
is within our county, are you the only one that has the app / access to the screen in?
No, the new stuff, I think, so that's the part we're trying to figure out. They're gonna need some emails and stuff like that. I'm gonna work with the departments to get all their access information for all their roster. But my understanding is everybody who, I can't remember what it was a while back when they came out with it and everybody got the log into it. Those should still be active. They'll just have to, flip them over or whatever, but,
My point was, excuse me for interrupting, but my point was, is if you were out of the office or on vacation, that you're not the only one.
no, it's gonna be,
Within
it
Grant
should be
County.
available. The one thing she did say was, it might be only, they're actually working to get it open to the public as well, so anybody can download the app and use it. It just may be a little variant of what accesses they have. So right now, there's a history portion where you can go back and look at previous weather and whatnot. Public users may only get the active weather that's going on currently. That would be a tailored down version, but that's part of this whole bill and going to the Senate and in the legislature is they want the state to fund this so that it's available for people to use. So
You know what Senate file it is?
I don't, she didn't give me that, but she said there is one. So,
Cause like now, like the fire departments and sheriff and stuff is on it, or.
right, yeah.
They've been on it, right?
All the emergency responders will have access to it, and like I said, if everything goes through, it sounds like they had 4 authors, bipartisan. I mean,
Co-sponsors.
yeah, so they're looking at pretty good support for what they're doing. And it'll likely, hopefully fill all the gaps throughout the state and everybody will have that access, so. So it's a bigger deal than just us, but as I get my head wrapped around it, I'll make sure it's pushed out to everyone and I'll make sure you guys are aware of that too, so. You'll be able to, it's an instant weather or something like that is what the app is called and.
But
again,
it'll truly be an app, you won't have to log in.
it should be, yep,
I made that determination for myself that if I'm out on storm watch, I'm not gonna be trying to log in and dealing with this.
right,
Trying to find the tornado that I can look over here and go,
Yeah.
yeah, here it comes.
yeah. Well, and hopefully, the idea here is that this will be more effective, right? It'll show. They'll have, the radar will do what it's supposed to
There's
do.
people that need that information,
Yep.
just sitting in a truck, it wasn't me.
No, right, and that's where it was. It wasn't convenient before. Now this is much more user friendly and it does both things, right? So it gets a better picture for you, so.
And we knew it was phase 1.
Yep, so they've made some improvements, and again, I just got the login yesterday, so I haven't really even gotten a chance to understand it yet. And Tina's gonna help me figure that out so that I can answer better questions when I pump it to you and you say, what do I do with this? I'd like to know better how that works, so.
I got a question backing up. You mentioned about the cabinet. Does it make more sense rather than retrofitting the doors to what you have to just mount the new cabinet and then use that cabinet you have somewhere else or return it to Cooper's?
It's more of a, what do I wanna say? The cabinet that I have there is like an open, like a bookshelf piece. And so I got a whole bunch of different colored binders, all that stuff. The doors, the lower section has doors on it. This would be just to mount the exact same doors. You won't know the difference between what I do and what they built, so
Okay,
it won't look like I hodgepodged it together.
I trust you on that.
I promise that at the end.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of that cabinet.
We have a motion, a second.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
How about the TV? We're gonna decide on that, Mr. Chairman? He said 70-inch. I don't know if his office is big enough.
I think that's as big as I can fit in there, so.
I think it would be.
Uh,
Why don't you get a price on one?
Yep, I can do that. Yep. Absolutely.
Okay,
I got a question for you, Mr. Chair. So these rain-bedded tornadoes that come through, whatever it was 3 years ago, are we gonna be able to get the resolution to show that there is, what I mean, some type of rotation in them clouds? Cause you couldn't see them, and that, you were out to the campground.
Right.
All it was just a white cloud coming at you,
Yep.
right?
That should be that rotation. So that's one of the new features in there is you can toggle between wind velocity direction, you can get all those, and it's like, you can set it up side by side, or you can overlay, so there's again, I have to understand it a little bit better, but, and then with our being part of this pilot piece, we should have the history as well, so we'll be able to go back and look at what happened, is my understanding, so, again,
Well, couldn't they see them from satellites? And by the time that information.
that part I couldn't tell you.
That's-
I do know
I
that
think I read-
likely they never see anything that's on the ground here,
No.
from the big towers, so
They could see that, there
they
was.
probably
That's
could
from
see
front
some
was
of that.
rotating. So, and that's, by the time it got down to us, it was
Right.
already through and
Yeah.
there was no notification.
Well, and the one over that went through by Ashby, there wasn't even a warning that day. That thing just popped out of nowhere. So, we should get much better notification.
You're talking the one that jumped the interstate and then
Yep.
it went to Dalton and got to,
Yep,
I got pictures of that,
Yep.
all of it.
Yep.
I sat there and took pictures.
but I mean, we weren't even in a watch that day,
No,
and it just. I mean,
state troopers were around, but I didn't see.
I got a
only
call, I
weather
think there's a
watches.
tornado north of the lake, like, come on, I haven't even heard a peep yet, We had nothing, so,
Mr. Chair, as important as climate vision is and emergency management and price of televisions aren't significant, I make a motion that he purchases what he feels is use your judgment and that we go ahead and buy the television.
Okay,
I'll second that.
motion and second to purchase TV.
I don't like we're making motions that is just not having a dollar cap or that would break with.
We can put a cap on it, less than $5,000.
that should be sufficient.
Well, I'm gonna question
All in,
that. dollar.
all in favor?
Is that your second then, Dwight?
Yeah.
No, I was being facetious. I don't know what a television costs. I guess if we wanted to do it, I just think that it is important. And if we need to do the shopping before we do it, I don't think 2 weeks is gonna make a difference, right?
Yeah, no,
I guess my thought would be, so you probably have an understanding of we're supporting it. And based on that, should we have them bring back the price? Does that make more sense? I don't know what a TV's worth. I have no idea.
Well, I mean,
For cheap.
we've approved things without a cost estimate before, but we put a dollar cap on it to just say, use your best judgment. And you come back with that $5,000. Well, that's what I thought was best.
Mhm.
Not saying you would do that, but
no, I'd keep it under
Created some
2,500.
discussion. How would you like it, Mr. Chair? Your thoughts on it, or,
Well, we'll just get a price and you can come back.
then I would,
Are you gonna rescind?
yes, I'd do that. Thank you, Jerry.
well, it changes how, that would have changed how we do things and that.
It'll be reasonable, I'll come back.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Pat?
Can I bank those extra 3 minutes as well? Put that in.
Got it.
Morning, guys. I think y'all probably got everything Carl was supposed to send you. Looking for permission to order, 2 cross conveyors, an asphalt spreader and a roller. I think the total price is 50. I don't remember, it was 54, 58,000 somewhere in there. The roller was 22,000. The asphalt spreader was 13,000 and the 2 conveyors added up to 22,652. So,
Is this replacing current equipment?
no, this is all adding new.
What do we expect our life expectancy to be?
Well, the Packer will probably be, that's gonna be a long life expectancy. I don't know. The other 3 pieces, probably 20 years, I'm guessing. It's gonna take wear and tear parts, but they're all solid metal, so.
So them conveyors, they bolt on like on the back of the truck.
Yep, just like our Sanders do for our trucks, the same hookups there. Hydraulics are all there and everything, so,
That's what the state does.
yep,
When they're patching, it's quicker.
yep, it's much quicker, much faster,
Yeah.
much more efficient. So,
And
and it was,
They don't even mill, do they? They just kind of spread it out and then lay it
Yeah,
out?
they do a little bit different than we do, yeah, but. So, but everything with that I'm asking here for was, what we had budgeted for this year, so.
How much was that spreader?
13,000
172.
172.
And it said that was a soil and asphalt.
Yep, you can use it for either one, it's just. It's hydraulically, it can like. Narrow, wide, one side of the skid loader to the other side, you can adjust your depth all hydraulically on it, so.
And it fits on the back of the trucks, there's no retrofit or anything like that,
No.
just like a sander, right?
Yep, no, that, the spreader goes on the skid loader,
On the skidder.
Oh.
yep,
Okay.
yep.
Yeah, it wasn't.
So yeah, we can adjust our depth as we go or our width or. We want it one side or the other, so. Yep,
So you haven't had one of them before, the spreader?
no, we made a homemade one. Which. Yeah. We did a lot of welding on this last year, so.
So, yeah, with the soil, what you're saying there is you can put black dirt in there
Yep, you can push black dirt with it, you can push,
and set your setting and lay it in 3 inches.
yep. So,
That'll come in handy too.
yep, yeah, there's gonna be lots of use for it, so. You know, culvert projects, whatever.
And the gallons per minute on the skidders,
What's
that's adequate enough?
Yep, I already, everything's all included in the price on that, so it can adapt right to our skid loader, so.
And you got hydraulics enough to.
Yep.
You know, plugins and all that, electrical connections and all that, that's
Yep.
all there, so there's no additional.
We might have a little use for that soil spreader in the spring. Up at the courthouse.
Yeah.
Multi-use.
I'll make that motion that we purchase these items.
As a member of the highway committee, I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on any of these? If not, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Was that just the soil and asphalt spreader, or was that the?
The cross conveyors, the soil and asphalt spreader and the roller.
Oh.
There's,
Three.
So
It
you
was
just
all,
did, you just did it all?
yep, all three of them, yeah.
Okay.
So, on another note, our truck from Towmaster is done. We'll be going down to pick that up tomorrow. So that bill will be coming in the next batch that you guys approved 2 meetings ago. So
Jamie knows it's coming.
I will let her know, so. Yep,
where are they working on that?
the truck is Litchfield. Yep.
That's
So,
not too far then.
nope, not too far at all, so. All right, thank you guys.
Yep, see you that. That's soil spreader.
Good, but you did shoot it.
Oh, yeah, what are you gonna throw it on?
Morning, guys.
Good morning.
So,
You got it.
as you guys see, I got a couple items on there. The first one is basically the year-end report deal. The reason it's a year-end deal and not a quarterly update is the last, 10, 11 months, we've kind of been trying to figure out that whole solid waste world. Moving forward, it'll be more like a quarterly, here's kind of where we're at throughout the year. And then this same report was given to the cities, so they have all the same info too. And then I set up a city clerks meeting to meet with all of them and kind of go over this and talk about the program with them and a couple other odds and ends that they've asked questions about. So that's on the 19th February, so I got all but one of the cities and I'm gonna meet with that city here tomorrow, so. I'm just gonna kind of give a highlight of the report. I'm not gonna go line by line with it or page by page. Generally, the solid waste is up about 1% total, so we got an additional about 18 tons this year. Recycling is up again about a 1%, so another 2 tons. Organics is up 20-ish%, but that's because we had such a small amount that when you add, 4 or 5 tons out of 20, that jacks it pretty good, so it kind of skews it a little bit. But the hope is next year that we have, again, a pretty decent increase, because that's one of our kind of pilot projects to push this year's. Meet with the cities, how they want to do it, walk them through it, see what their questions are. So that is gonna be kind of my deal in a couple weeks here. But that is kind of all I had for that, unless you guys had questions on it. It's pretty self-explanatory, but. Any of you have questions on it? The next deal on there is recycling trailers. So a couple meetings ago, you guys approved our contract with Ingebretson for new contracts, and part of that was the replacing those trailers like we had talked. So I went to the committee and we talked about, okay, what do we do with these trailers? We can sell them, we can scrap them, we can try to find use for them here at the county. Well, it was decided they're pretty much junk. So if we were gonna use them here, we'd have to do a whole lot of fixing. So that really isn't cost effective. If we were gonna sell them, the last time they sold them, they got less than what scrap was worth. So the decision has now been led to, we should probably just scrap these because they're recyclable as part of the recycling program. But in order to do that, they're county assets, and after talking to Chad, he said, make sure we get the guys there to give you the green light, so I'm asking you guys to make a motion that I can scrap those. That comes from meeting with the committee, with Ken and Troy both saying, yep, that's a good idea,
How many of them trailers do we own?
about a dozen. Okay. So, and they're like 3,500 pounds or something like that, so we're not gonna get rich or nothing, but
I will make a motion to scrap the recycling trailers that they're taking out of service.
You second?
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second to scrap the recycling trailers as they come out of service. Any more discussion?
Yeah, we're gonna still provide that level of service.
correct.
Regardless.
As they are scrapped, they're being replaced with the new ones that Ingebrigtson's got coming, and the first one should come here in a couple of weeks. So as long as you guys give the green light here, then they should come, so.
We talked about how the new ones coming in and the contract, a little bit how that's gonna work.
Yeah.
Brickson will explain
So
that.
before we owned all these trailers, it was all county assets, but now with our new contract with Ingebrigtson, which I just got the edits back from Justin, so that'll probably come to you guys either the next meeting or the first one in March. They are gonna own all those now, so now that it's not a county asset anymore, we don't have to worry about maintenance, we don't have to worry about trailer lights and tabs and all that. They're gonna be basically roll-offs with a trapezoid top with doors that you just chuck them in, and I think they're slightly bigger than the trailers, so they should hold a little more, which should help alleviate some of those rolling up to the sites and they're full, but they're,
The truth of the matter is when you say we don't have to worry about maintenance.
well,
Troy was doing.
Troy
the
was
maintenance
doing
and he
before.
wasn't billing us.
correct. He was doing all the patching them, tires, all that kind of thing. All we were doing was basically paying for tabs, and even he was putting the tabs on for us. We got him and he said, yeah, just hand it to one of my drivers, he'll put them on. So he was doing everything anyways. So he's like, well, if I'm gonna do it all, I might as well just own it all. And that actually works out, I think, better in the long run for us. So as they have issues, he can just fix them and doesn't have to worry about trying to bill, trying to do all that.
Well,
So
you
that
don't
is,
have to have separate bins now, right?
correct.
You don't.
Yeah, now it's all commingled, so that really helps that kind of container now, it's going that route. It's all commingled in
Gotta
one,
be waiting.
one stream.
Climb in there and crawl.
Correct, and they're do a hydraulic dump versus having to empty each compartment individually.
Right.
So that'll be a lot smoother for him. We will still own the cardboard, they're basically dumpsters, we still will own those. But I think we got a half dozen of those at each city, so.
Any more discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Carried.
Thanks, guys. The last deal is our proposed budget for this year. Overall, the budgets, attachment A and exhibit A are almost the same, because again, we're still figuring all these things out. There are a couple of deals in the solid waste budget, the Pope Douglas tipping fee went up 4%. So that kind of is a little bit of a deal that they keep doing every year, is they jack up what we pay to dispose of stuff. On the other side of recycling as well, the fee we pay to McLeod County for sorting and doing all that. That went up 3%, but that's still decently pretty low compared. Pope Douglas is trying to get so that they can take all our recyclables, which means we wouldn't have to then truck them all down there, which would help cost that way, but we gotta see what their facility runs out at once they get up and running, which they told me 10 to 12 weeks, so I'm gonna say 12 plus, knowing how construction goes. But
So on that, right
Yep.
now, we're paying Ingebrigtson to get those down there.
Yep.
Are they, Pope Douglas
Well-
winds up taking over, are they taking Stevens counties too?
it sounds like that is a possibility. It all depends on what they're gonna charge for tipping fee. If they charge $70 a ton, it's still cheaper to send it the other way, or if they charge $100 a ton, or if their price goes up and down and, or you're only guaranteed 1 year of it being low, then there's a whole lot of
Well,
those
we're
logistics.
kinda hooked into wherever Troy's going. unless we wanna pay.
Right now,
Transport our own.
we play McLeod County right now anyways. For Troy would rather bring it to Pope Douglas because he's going there anyways, but it just depends on that tipping fee is what always it comes down to, unfortunately, but that is the hope that they can take them there for a lot cheaper than shipping them that way. So the organics price stayed the same at $50 a ton. That didn't change. So that's nice. As part of that recycling deal there, there's the two highlight numbers that got A's next to them and they look quite large, but that is how I put in the extra score dollars we got through the state. Last year, we got that 3% of that solid waste tax back. So that's gonna be used for some improvements for safety, efficiency, those kind of things down at the recycling center here in town. Through some cameras that work and cover the whole yard so the guys can see all of the yard. And if we do have issues, which we've had people dump stuff or throwing things over the fence, we can, try and do our part there. You're gonna be another container to try and clean up some of that funkiness that gets behind it's kind of a container, but it's not, and it gets a lot of overflow and makes it hard to do any sort of snow removal, any mowing, all that, to driving around all that to try and clean that up. And then there's gonna try and do some overhang deal over the door, cause right now the water and snow and ice just run right over top and create a big mess in front of the door that you walk in and somebody has fallen and people are gonna fall, so we're working with the lumberyard here in town to do that. So that's why those numbers look quite big. Usually they're, they total somewhere in like that 3,500 range, but they're looking to be almost 20. But that's because we got like 14-ish extra from the state, so that's where that coverage went. The difference there, if you keep scrolling down too, and the receipts for what we got from SCORE, that's where that highlight number, that 86,000, that includes that extra money that we got. And we transferred, the recycling program always runs in the red because there just isn't enough waste to make money in recycling to cover the costs. So we transfer money from solid waste. And that was up a couple thousand this year due to, increased cost of recycling. And that's about it. And then paying the guys' wages goes up that 3%. So that's how that goes too.
So that solid waste management tax, did that, in order for us to get more dollars out there, did that rate change? Did it go up?
Yeah, we got, instead of like 72,000 last year, this year we got 86.
Right.
So that's that 14. So that's good.
But did they change the rate, that 3.75?
No,
That's.
no, they just gave us,
90 million that's
yeah,
collected.
they still,
They're just redirecting. is what
correct.
they're doing.
And then they gave us a 3% jump last year. So
Okay,
it's
something.
It would be nice if we could get more of that back, but that's just kind of where we're at.
They
And
used to, it was 90 million that was collected throughout the state, and it was 18 million that was scattered out to the counties.
And
we're done.
that's part of like that, solid waste administrators deal through AMC that they're trying to
Yes.
leverage them to say, hey, we need more of that money out here to
Right.
help keep our programs running and offset some of the costs to the people. So, the other highlight number next there on the solid waste is that, tipping fee increase. And then the next highlight number, that 173, is that transfer. So just to follow it through. And then those two numbers under where we make money is, under solid waste, is what the cities will pay and what the rural percentages are. Those again are based on their tonnages. So the cities had, let me find the numbers so I can tell you. The cities had like 85% of the waste or 86, and the rural people had 14, which shifted a little bit. Last year, rural had another percent and a half. So they were paying a little bit more and the cities were paying a little less, but this year or last year's tonnages shifted again, so now they'll pay a little more. And they're all aware of that, and then we're gonna talk about it more when I do that city clerk meeting.
So what happened that we ended up just short of $50,000 in the red last year?
Greg and I, on which one? On the
Line
solid
37.
Yep.
Actually, 24.
24, 37. Let me find it for you.
I'm trying to.
Yep.
See where the numbers.
So because we didn't. And some of that might just be me doing things differently than how they were done previously. So putting in different numbers in the budget, more exact numbers, changing things around. That's part of it. I don't see how 50. It comes out to some of that too, is the rural, what's taxed and what's the percentage they pay is not the same number. There's some carryover there that we use as kind of like the buffer there. That makes that number go down pretty good. to closer to like that 20, but the cost, tipping fee went up, and I don't know if that was all in there last year. Some of the money that was transferred around and moved around too didn't equate that way, but that's the majority of it. And the last piece there on the, or the last page before it shows you where all the numbers come from is what the cities will pay the next year. So, and they are all aware what the percentages are and roughly what they're gonna pay, so they're. None of them have said or anything about it, and I'll talk to them more about it here in a couple weeks, but. And then finally is that rural routes piece after the budget, which is what everybody gets the tax part. All the yellow highlighted are more for Chad. Things that he can change them to homestead, not a homestead, people bought it, people sold it, that kind of thing. And then there's the one that's red, and that's so Chad knows to delete that off the list. Because that house was burned down, so there's no structure there. So. Other than that, I don't have any other parts of this budget. Or that I need some you guys to approve it if you don't have any other questions, or what questions you guys have.
I will make a motion to approve the budget and certify the amount for taxes.
We have a motion, we get a second,
I'll second.
any more discussion? No more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
There's one thing that wasn't on there in the last couple weeks. There's been a whole bunch of talk about governor's budget. Just a heads up that AIS money we get is projected to be slashed about in half. So there's a whole bunch of people writing letters and doing all these things, but just so all of you are aware that that money we get is projected to be cut in half. So, but
How much was that rate?
50-ish thousand, and it will be dropped to about 25. And traditionally, we've kind of spent part of it and kind of rat holed some of that as a rainy day thing. But we've kind of shifted to trying to use more of it on some salary stuff, which we're gonna work more with Chad to make sure it's spelled out in budgets and easier to see all that, but so just a heads up. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Alright, so, after doing some research, we wanted to, get some updates on our deferred comp plans that we offer employees. And so we were offering 4 different plans to employees. After some research, we come to find out that, Orion, what used to be FTJ, they're not taking any new employees. So we can't offer that plan to anybody new. The ones that currently have it can still contribute to it and still have it. They're not taking any new employees. So we just take that off of our list to offer, and then also, what was the other one? American Funds was the other one. And so they have sold to another company, Ameriprise, and not able to offer that one as well. So we're down to 2, Nationwide and then Menzel Financial, is the other company that we offer funds. So the insurance company met to discuss what we'd like to see. Minnesota DCP, the Minnesota Deferred Comp Plan, is a plan that works, it's the same company as like the retirement system, Minnesota Retirement System. They also administer the healthcare savings plan, which we offer in the sheriff's office and at highway. The sheriff's office contributes every pay period to that. And then the highway department contributes if you retire, your funds, your vacation and sick go into that. So the Minnesota Deferred Comp Plan, we had, his name is Bjorn, he would be a representative. He met with the insurance company to discuss what the plan would be, and it is a pretty good plan, I think. The employees are able to move their money around wherever they want to put their money invested in. There's no employer costs or fees. The administration fee is, the cap is $125 a year over all. So, it would be like, I think it could be like $3 or something a year. And so, yeah, and then Bjorn would be our representative. He would come and meet as many times as we wanted to with employees, which I think is really important to have that person to call and talk to. That was lacking in the plans that we had before. And so, and then it also works with the same website as our healthcare savings plan. So the input we got from the sheriff's offices, it would be the healthcare savings plan, the website, the people they work with, it's easy to navigate, easy to use. And so there was support there. And the insurance committee would recommend that we offer the Minnesota deferred comp plan to employees.
In addition to the other. I mean, we're not gonna take,
We're not taking the healthcare savings plan away,
no,
that's.
well, but I mean,
Oh.
there's a company that offered the plan, but they don't, no one new can go in there, there's people in there. We're not taking that away. from
No,
them.
we're not taking any plans that employees currently, have money in and is investing. They are able still to contribute. We just cannot offer it to new employees. And so that is the changes, is we'll have Nationwide, which Nationwide is gonna be coming out, end of February to meet with employees. So we're gonna get that on an annual quarterly basis. And then Wenzel's comes out occasionally, to meet with employees as well. So we'd have 3 plans that we'd offer for new and existing employees.
Actually, that Nationwide, that's the oldest plan, isn't it? The county, that's been around forever, hasn't it?
So it's a good option, I think, for employees to invest their money how they want.
I make a motion, we move forward with this plan.
As a member of the insurance committee, I will second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Carried.
And then also, a representative other than, so I can't sign it because I am a contact. So Doyle, do you wanna sign it or do you wanna have Carl sign it? How do you wanna?
Doesn't matter, does it?
I'll have you sign. Have is 2025 committees.
Central Minnesota Emergency Services, Board Emergency Management Advisory Committee. We got Maya, and then we got Greg. Greg's intent to potentially retire, which he's stated. Should we be having someone else on that, or? I don't know if it was earlier, if they meet, or if he.
Well, I think,
He's just an alternate, I think.
we're right, once he's retired, I think we would replace him, because that's a bigger conversation in that. Ashley, did we in our new job analysis, we identified a backup for emergency management?
Yep.
Yeah.
See, currently that's Greg, so we've had to identify, knowing he's gonna be retiring. So once he's retired, those duties as the backup will switch.
That makes sense.
These committees have to be fulfilled, and we got an attendance requirement for this thing to come full circle, so we can draw from grant dollars coming out of the ESB. So it looks like that, these commitments are gonna get fulfilled. And there's been talk between the ESB, Dwight and I sit on that committee. And they vetted out a pretty good process to say that we need this in place, people, so get her done. And that's what happened. Need a motion, Mr. Chair, or not? Or it's just committee appointments that the board as a whole is committed to.
Oh, I got another question. There was something else. We got the Brent paramedic program. Dwight listed. How about the committee that you're working with, you and Bill with the EMS? Is it on here?
Isn't that on?
I didn't see it. I didn't see it. Which if we're allocating here, we're levying $165,000. To me, that's a significant committee and I'm just thinking we should be identifying it.
Central Minnesota Emergency Services Board.
No,
that's different.
no, just an EMS committee.
Grant County EMS.
You are correct. And
Cause there's five people on that.
there is the Grand Ottawa Sprint one, like you're talking about.
That wasn't on there either till we put it on there last month. But yeah, we need that. Because that's gonna be ongoing here for a while, I mean. That's ongoing forever.
Well,
If-
as long as there's money allocated,
Yeah.
there needs to be representation from this board.
Yeah. So,
And you two guys are on there, right?
Yeah.
and Ryan DeSmith and Eric Brisbane,
I wouldn't list by name
okay,
them, I would list
Just put
a
a-
representative from each of the ambulance
okay,
services.
yeah.
Cause otherwise, yeah, if it changes midway through the year, then you have to go and,
Right,
you know, if you list Eric Risbrud and he's not there,
right,
that doesn't give, so they're representative.
yeah.
So what are you on the board? Can you explain that? So we kind of, because we should add it before we approve this.
Yeah.
I don't know. if
So
we-
you can approve it with the addition of,
There you go.
what's the
So-
committee called?
Grant County EMS.
EMS committee.
EMS, it would be, Ashby Ambulance, Hoffman Ambulance, and, Lake Region Ambulance.
Hoffman,
Lake Region,
Lake Region.
Elbow. And then Bill and I.
Troy made a good point, so. Who do we gotta ask and see if they wanna be appointed on this, so it'd be Ryan DeSmith. And maybe Mark Zlotnick. And then, of course, then,
We just give each of the services a spot and they can appoint whoever. If you don't, as long as you don't name them by name, then they can appoint, it can change from month to month but if you say it's this individual, then you have to come back if they switch.
we can bring that up at the next meeting. But we should start with the committee to begin with us two. So I'll make that motion with that addition. To add Grant County EMS committee. Dwight and I are. There's no delegate or alternate, it's just that we're on that committee together.
And then you'll ask the other outfit.
Yep. We should call it committee anyway and just see,
Yeah,
we should update them on, maybe some of this legislation that they're talking about too, which I
So
think.
just to make sure I'm hearing what our motion is gonna include those three EMS. We agree on that. What goes farther will be within your committee.
What do you mean what goes farther?
Well, if they talked about going to the meeting and designating a person, but we're not designating a person, but we're designating an organization.
Right,
Yeah, and that's
the foundation,
The three organizations
Yeah.
and these two
Okay.
are the committee.
the entities.
So I have with an addition of the Grant County EMS.
For now.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Second that.
Bill?
I made a motion, what, you gonna second?
I think you did, didn't you?
I thought he
I
did.
didn't second it, but I thought.
You just did,
Oh, did I?
yeah.
Okay,
What do you mean second?
I got you down, Lloyd.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Grant County office space percent, building space percent.
So there was two different. With these three offices, there's two different estimates that came. As far as what the percentage that Western Prairie would have as opposed to Grant County is responsible for. One was. Back up a little farther, it was 89% and 11, right? One estimate is 89.5% and 10.5. The other one was 93% and 7. When I met with Chad and Carl, who came up with those numbers, and then we met with Tracy, and when we originally did that 89 and 11, all the office or all the meeting spaces were claimed by Western Prairie. That does not reflect, in my opinion, that does not reflect the reality of today. We use this space as a boardroom, we use this space significantly, right? So if you take even half of this square footage and swap it with that, I would recommend we can just continue at the 89 and 11%. Now that's our rent formula, that's the cleaning contract, that's all your utility expenses, everything like that. So I mean, it's it's not just the rent, it's every bill that's paid is based on that percentage. But I think the reality, it has changed in that we're using this space more than we said we were going to in 18 or 19.
So as far as the percentage in the build stuff, really nothing will change.
Nothing would change.
The use wouldn't change either.
No, there'd be no change in how we're operating from yesterday to tomorrow. It's just we're acknowledging that we're using this space more than we envisioned in 2019, 2018, whatever that year was.
So that would kind of mean we probably had the formula was flawed before. Not flawed, is that the right word, but in a sense. And now.
It was a formula that was calculated pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Could have, you can make the argument that it could have been recalibrated.
Now it is.
Mhm. So there, I mean, there, you can absolutely make the case that we can dial down on those numbers, because I found, when I looked at them, the 89.5 and the 93, I found things in both of those that, well, you could take this space out or add that space in, or I just think it's acknowledging we're using this more, we just stay at the 89 and 11.
Any more discussion? We need a motion for that.
We're not changing anything.
Okay.
So.
Are we done with that then?
I think so.
Geothermal tax credits. Well, there's a letter here. It doesn't say anywhere how much the tax credit is, but they want 6,500 for, this outfit wants 6,500 to.
That was a 300 and
60 some thousand.
yeah. We already spent $60,000 trying to get
Yes,
it, and this is
correct.
the last. I asked Carl specifically yesterday, this is the last 6,500 to get it. Now, that doesn't mean it'll still be there.
But it's something we gotta do.
You know, by the time we get the application in, there may not be federal money for anything, and we just spent $6,500 we didn't have to.
But
If we don't have it in, we won't get it.
if we don't do it, we won't get the,
Right.
this is a,
So the company we worked with for Apex,
Is now called,
Well, this
Martin,
was a
Walker,
CDU.
and
well, this is the.
That's-
this is
they
the
used to
former-
be.
Oh, okay.
you wanna see this?
No, I got a copy of that.
Okay.
That's, I was just wondering how they fit with Apex, but that, you answered my question.
Anybody have any other questions about this? So the bill, or we would complete and
I'll make a motion to complete this for the 6,500. I don't, does it have the exact dollar figure in it?
6,500.
6,500. I'll make a motion to approve that for the 6,500.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Carried.
You ready for committee stuff, Mr. Chair?
Yep.
So we had an MRC meeting yesterday and the number, correct me if I'm wrong, Doyle, but the number that come out of there from the Senate Republican leader was the governor's budget shifts $804 million from the state to the counties.
804 million?
Yep. So Reed's talk about the 25,000, it's just a drop in the bucket. Cause if you figure Grant County has 0.1% of the population of the state, you take 0.1 of that 804, that is an $804,000 cut. That does not factor in Grant County's 40% of the African American Family Preservation Act, which would be another 360. We're looking at a $1.16 million increase to the levy just to operate as normal next year.
So do they think, I mean, this isn't in place yet, but.
No, this is the governor's proposed budget. So what I'm saying is, we need to all be at AMC at the end of this month. And we need to all push AMC we will not accept these cuts without removing the mandates. We just can't. I mean, there's no way, I mean, to top it off, there's talk of a bill that's been introduced that will impose levy limits. So the cut /add $1 million, but they put on a levy limit increase, so now so, I mean, we need to make it clear at AMC that we can't accept this, and we have to make sure our constituents know prior to a budget being done, what's happening.
So so the governor that spent the 18 billion and then added another 5-6 billion is now coming back and saying, we're gonna cut 804 million.
Right, without it removing any mandates. And this is what's happening to counties. This is not factor into cities or to schools.
Wow.
So I mean, we have to be down there and we have to, I don't think we'll go visit with the legislators, and I don't think that'll do much. It'll be happening in those committees that we're all members of, where we say, no, we have to. Absolutely not. We can't do it.
So you guys are at the meeting. Is it a point where we start looking at where we're at in Grant County and some of our spending? Because it's almost ensured that there's gonna be cuts.
We should be doing that anyway.
Yeah, well, yeah, I understand, but we buy things and we kind of go, yeah. Does the yeah go away? And we relook at our budget at a upcoming.
Well,
meeting?
we did, and we implemented the policy that any purchase over $5,000 needs to come here, right? So that is the first step, is that, that there was kind of the general consensus yesterday that it's gonna be a special session for a budget. They're not gonna get one done by May, whatever that day is.
Democrats gotta go to work.
So, but I mean, we have to in my opinion, is we have to get AMC on board that we will not do this. We won't accept it, but we're not doing it quietly either way. We're gonna make sure that both parties understand, you try to do this, and we're gonna make sure your constituents know who raised their property taxes.
So you use the analytics, point one, is that accurate, or is that like?
No, that is 6,000 people divided out by 5.5 million, you get 0.1.
Yeah, but do they use that?
I have no idea what Grant County's share would be.
That's just something to kind of talking point or whatever.
This is, if you just used as simple basic a math as possible.
Okay. That's not locked in.
That is not, you would have to go through each and every program and look at what the cuts are, and I mean, it may be higher, it may be lower, because there's minimums, right? So Grant County's a minimum county for most things. in that we get X dollars, doesn't matter about your population or this or that. So,
They could certainly take it out of the reserve, and they did that with the tax forfeiture stuff, so this isn't done deal by no means.
well, right, but I mean, we all have to be there, that's just,
Yes, yeah, I agree.
and how much good it's gonna do to talk to our representatives, I don't know, it's more of the AMC, we can't do it.
Oh, I'm sure they're all over it, I would guess.
Well, I don't doubt it,
Haven't talked to Matt lately, but I talked to Nathan Zacharias, because he's part of this EMS stuff.
Isn't that, Troy, isn't that like the 16th of February or something like that?
You know.
no, it's the last, well, MRC is the last Tuesday, and then that Wednesday is when you go to the,
27th, 28th.
Oh, that's that legislature.
you go to the
Yep, the
Capitol on
legislative
that Wednesday, and then I think Thursday morning is when the policy committees are.
Yep.
And good news,
February.
I think a rap will get it fixed. though.
Oh, yeah, he's got this.
So we did a good push for that, the tax forfeiture stuff, so then that 167,000 wasn't borne on to you know, this county, because that was our share of tax forfeiture. So they, you know, that, whatever it was, 130 million, the state picked up the slack on that. And created the legislation that basically buffer the counties from those costs. So,
They fixed their own mistake.
well, yeah,
It-
was it?
We didn't do it, we were following the law they made.
Yeah, right. No, I agree with that. It's,
And I mean, that's the thing, is that they're putting the mandates on,
well,
and now they're gonna take away the money. Well, then you have to, if you're taking away the money, you have to remove the mandate.
yeah. I wholeheartedly agree with you.
it's on the state level, when, what, like federal.
Anybody else got any good news?
Do you guys get updates from Michelle Fishbach at all? What's happening? I got in her email chain, so there's a lot of things that are going
So
on.
I'd rather be uninformed than
Well, you're getting the Republican portion of it.
you think? Don't listen to what they say, watch what they do.
Yeah.
You get that in the minutes,
What's being recorded?
that's good.
Don't listen to what they say, watch what they do.
Anybody got anything else? Ashley? You have anything?
I don't.
Okay. We'll adjourn at 10:08.
Is Western Prairie,
Rank ready today? What was that?
is Western Prairie, here